Hi, you're on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. Subscribe to my channel as well as to my Facebook, the link is in the description. Enjoy watching. Below is a summary of the uncomfortable events. He offered to pay for schooling so I could pursue my dream job. I told him I didn't feel comfortable being financially dependent like that. The next week, he came back, tossed me a debit card with over $100,000 in my name, enough for 4 years of school, rent, and a generous lifestyle. I was uncomfortable, refused, and had the money transferred back. We worked something else out and I enrolled in classes in January this year. We were on a walk outside one evening and we heard distant gunshots. He was extremely freaked out and was hypervigilant the entire 5-minute walk home, and avoided the question when I asked him what was up. A drunk guy was hitting on me at a bar. My boyfriend stepped in between us and politely told the drunk guy to leave 3 times, calmly ignoring insults in response. After the 3rd time, he waited 10 seconds, something just changed in him and he aggressively verbally provoked the drunk guy into swinging first, then did a non-seriously damaging takedown on the drunk guy with combat experience and ferocity I had no clue he had. He didn't seem proud or even satisfied about this, only concerned for me. I was suspicious that he was hiding something from me, so I started paying more attention to his work life. His relationship with coworkers is good, but there's always an undercurrent of quietly influencing coworkers to do what he wants. I snooped onto his computer and saw look into removal of a temp that he found extremely annoying and only did the bare minimum. A week later, the temp didn't work there. 2 weeks ago, I confronted him, asking him if there's anything he hasn't told me that he should. He said there was, but that it was hard to talk about. I told him I'd stay at a friend's place until he did, because there were times I was afraid of him. He started crying, but otherwise calmly let me leave. Last week, I received texts from an unknown number of pictures of my underwear, saying that they'd leave me alone if I sent them nudes. My knee-jerk reaction was that it was my boyfriend, so I called the police and angrily texted him. He called me, denied it, and said he could help me and that the way he could help me was connected to his past, so he'd tell me everything. But I hung up on him. After I found out it couldn't have been him, I apologized and asked for his help. First, he told me about his past as part of a gang. I won't go into too much detail here, see below for a more detailed account, but he was in a gang between ages 12 to 18 using the fake identity of his best friend who had been killed while on a drug run when they were 12. He rose the ranks before cutting ties when he started going to college to start new and start living a respectable life. He still had contacts in the gang that could track down the phone number of the stalker. As I suspected, the stalker was someone I'd known in high school but wasn't close to. My boyfriend asked me if I wanted to handle this legally or extrajudicially. I took the legal option. The stalker was locked up. But now our relationship is in a weird position. I just don't know how I feel about this, so I interrogated him about the incidents that had made me uncomfortable, secretly recording his responses to look for any inconsistencies. I've been reading those over and over and listening to the recording over and over, but none of it makes me feel any better or worse. The main thing that worries me is what it'll take for him to use what he's learned on me. So far, I don't think he has. And the drunk bar guy situation has shown me that he has solid control over those violent tendencies. Our relationship has been good otherwise. But it's something that'll be in the back of my head and I don't know what to do about it. Response of my friends has generally been to focus on how he's taking care of me financially and is helping me achieve my dream career and more or less forget about everything else. I can understand that, but that's not the be-all end-all of a relationship for me. My parents are just terrified of his past and want me to split up as quickly and safely as I can. I feel like no one is taking into account both of those sides of him and the gentle, funny, and charming person that I fell in love with. So I guess I'm here now. TLDR, I quit my job due to burnout 6 months after I started dating my boyfriend. He has a lot of disposable income, so he told me he'd be happy to support me until I moved in, even offering to pay my rent if I wasn't comfortable moving in with him. I was so touched by the gesture that I moved in with him anyway, and we've been living together for a little over a year now. There have been some events since that made me a little uncomfortable. Last week, an unknown person that had stolen my underwear years ago started extorting me for nudes, so I asked for his help. He told me about his previous life in a gang, which explained those uncomfortable events, and used his connections to track the person down. Now I don't know what to do. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. My fiancé wants to try an open relationship before we get married. Hi. I'm at a loss of what to do. Me, F25, and my fiancé, M24, have been in a relationship for 3 years, for years coming up in March. He popped the question a few months ago, and I was so excited. I really feel like he is the one for me. He's amazing in so many ways, and I genuinely feel like he feels the same way. Or at least I did. Last night, we ordered takeout for dinner and we were going to watch the newest Rings of Power episode. He was acting incredibly weird, not very talkative and very fidgety. He usually sits pretty still or relaxed, but he kept bouncing his leg and tapping his fingers. Eventually, about halfway through the episode, he pauses it and says he wants to talk about something extremely important. He sounded so nervous, and I immediately got this sinking feeling, but I told him everything was okay, just to tell me what was going on. He said it had been on his mind for a while, and he didn't know if it was just the nerves of realizing he's about to be married, but he realized that I'm his first real relationship. Before me, he had only dated a couple people in high school, and it was never long-lasting. I asked him where he was going with this, and he started crying. He said he was scared since he didn't have a lot of experience with other people. He was worried if he was making the right decision. Obviously, that fucking hurt to hear, but I didn't say anything. After dancing around the subject for a bit, he finally just said he was thinking an open relationship would be good for us. At least for a little bit. Honestly, the second half of this conversation is a blur because my anxiety was so bad I was hardly listening. He said he loved me, and he knows he wants me to marry me no matter what, but he wants to see what other people were like before getting into a lifelong marriage. He cried throughout the whole conversation, and he kept reassuring me that I wasn't the problem. He just wanted to experience other people since he never really was able to. He said if I agreed to an open relationship, there would be lots of rules in place, and it would all be very safe. I feel like our relationship is ruined. I'm obviously not okay with an open relationship. He said I could see other people too, but I don't want to. I only have eyes for him. I only want him. I only love him. He kept saying I have every right to say no, and he would understand, and he would never make me to something I didn't want to do. But the thing is, since he brought this up, if I say no, then I'm constantly going to think he's seeing people anyway. It's already happening. I used to have complete trust in him, but now I can't stop thinking if he's already seeing other people. Maybe he's bringing this up because he cheated on me and he needs an excuse now. Ugh. My mind is everywhere. I don't know what to do. I told him I would think about it and he hugged me. He didn't let go for a long time. I slept on the couch last night. I told him I just needed to be alone. Any advice is so much appreciated. Update, October 19th, 22. My fiancé wants to try an open relationship before we get married. Update. Well, the update isn't great. We called off the engagement and broke up. He swears up and down he didn't do anything, but he confessed he brought it up because he had a crush on someone and wanted to try it out. I had been staying at my friend's house for a few days, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. A lot of the people in the comments were a huge help to me mentally. I appreciate a lot of you so much. I probably would have gone through with it, but you guys pushed me to ask more questions. I asked him what made him start thinking about it, and at first, he went right back to his experience bullshit. I told him if he wanted to experiment sexually, I would be more than happy to try some things out, and I wasn't going to be accepting that as his answer. After a while he caved in and admitted that a girl who works at a coffee shop he visits often asked him for his number, and that's when he started to think about it. I was heartbroken and angry, to say the least. He had said if we got into an open relationship, people we knew would be off limits. He said she didn't count as someone he knew because he wasn't friends with her and she was still technically a stranger. I told him he did know her, he goes almost every day and she's very friendly with us, but either way it didn't matter because he had already told me there was no one he had in mind. He lied to me. After some more arguing and crying from both of us, he told me if I didn't want the open relationship then to just say no and we could move on from this. He was basically begging me not to talk about it anymore, he just wanted to move on. I told him it wasn't that easy because I straight up do not trust him anymore. As far as I know, he could have already experimented with her. He promised me he never cheated on me and never will. He said he would never go to that coffee place again and if he saw her, he would ignore her. I told him he could see other people, I just wouldn't be in the picture. He got frantic and asked me if I was breaking up with him. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. I said yes. I told him a year from now or even a couple years from now, after he gets all his experience out of his system and I'm still single and interested, we can try again. From the beginning. No engagement. I personally don't see us getting back together, but he was crying and clinging on to me. Honestly, I'm disgusted. I'm mostly sad though. Heartbroken. Pissed off. Lost. Confused. Anxious. We had our whole life planned out and ready for us, and it got ruined by a stupid fucking crush he had the nerve to ask to try out because of lack of experience. I'm heading out in a bit to get drunk with some girlfriends. I know a few people wanted an update. Sorry it wasn't very happy. Thank you for all of the advice. Hello, everyone. Obligatory throwaway account. I want to tell you my story that happened to me last week. My girlfriend, who I'd been with since around March, cheated on me. She exchanged numbers with a man at a bar in May. As a result, both wrote to each other occasionally and exchanged ideas about music, films, etc. During that time they met at least once. She didn't tell me anything about it. I was very clear from the beginning that I would like to know this kind of stuff so I don't find myself in a weird situation seeing her with someone else I never heard of. In August, the conversations between them became very ambiguous. She texted him things like, "You're sexy." I heard a voice message from him. This voice message was about her room being cold and his being warm. He asked if he should undress better. She answered ambiguously. He then asked if that meant a yes. She then replied with a clear, "Hell yes." They then met again. According to her statement, this sexting took place over a period of 3 weeks. After these 3 weeks she stopped doing it because she herself clearly recognized that she was making mistakes. He asked her on September 22nd if they could meet again because the contact was no longer intensive and the conversations and interest weren't the same as before. They met in the evening for an hour. She told him that she doesn't want these kind of conversations with him. They stopped texting afterwards. I was able to confirm this by seeing the last chat on WhatsApp. When she met him for the last time, I was asking her why she didn't reply to me. She lied to me and told me clearly that she fell asleep. Prior to me knowing about this, I once said that I currently have a bad feeling. She assured me in no uncertain terms that I could trust her and that she would never do anything to break that trust. This conversation took place when they were meeting and having these conversations. I'm baffled how you can lie this confidently. Considering the fact that she can and has lied to me cold as stone, and after sexting with this guy, I'm assuming that she cheated on me not only emotionally but also physically. She had the opportunity to give me her cell phone so I can read the chat. In fear, she deleted the chat in my presence so that I could not fully understand the chat. This action alone proves to me that it was more than just an emotional cheating. Every piece of evidence was gone. I must add that she never mentioned having a boyfriend. Even in the last conversation with him, she never said she was in a relationship, which of course is another slap in the face. Now of course, she assures me that there was nothing more between them, but honestly? I think she is saying this because she wants to save the relationship. Her empty words mean nothing when facts speak otherwise. That's how I feel at least right now. I want, however, mention something else. We met at the beginning of the year. She does not come from my country and is very far from her homeland. At the time, she was also in a relationship. She was open with me and told me that the relationship was over but couldn't end it overnight because it would look weird. At that moment I was able to understand it, and if I were to write more about this, one or the other would also be able to understand it, but that's not what I wanted to get at. What I was getting at was that even then she was cold-blooded and capable of lying to other people. So I'm not the first to experience this. I'm probably just the first to notice. I'd love to hear other opinions on this, as I'm conflicted on how to proceed. I can see that she regrets it. I've never seen a person cry so much, but that doesn't change what happened. I also need advice and opinions, because I am still not very clear what I should do. I don't want to involve my friend and family just yet. So there is no one I can talk to. It means a lot to hear of your opinions. It might help me make a decision, but in the first place help me emotionally to get a better view from an outside perspective. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many interesting articles ahead.